What's going on, everybody? Welcome to After Prison Show, and today we are going to talk about one of the worst holidays that you could ever spend locked up. Being that today is Valentine's Day, such a romantic, loving, caring, nurturing day out here in the free world. If you do have a significant other, if you do have a girlfriend, a wife, a boyfriend, punk tattoo guy, just anybody that you would really want to spend this type of a day with, well then obviously Valentine's Day would be a pretty good day for you. In fact, I'm hoping that Valentine's Day will be pretty good to old Joe, considering I'm going to see that new 50 Shades of Grey movie again. Hey, Joe talking about he about to go see that new 50 Shades of Grey movie again. He saw it one time. Where's that unsubscribe button at? We got to get... There's got to be something better on YouTube than this. Yeah, I did actually see that movie one time, and I did actually enjoy it as well. And one thing you have to keep in mind with all of this as well is, if you think 50 Shades of Grey is anything other than probably one of the hardest movies ever, and I mean that with no pun intended, well, most certainly you have never been locked up before, because there's certain movies that are going to come on TV, and I don't care if it's 50 Shades of Grey, 50 Shades Darker, or 50 Shades Free. You best believe every TV inside of that prison housing unit or cell block going to be tuned into that movie like you walked into a Best Buy TV display center. Why everybody got a little prison tent posted up on their bunks like that? Oh, they're watching one of those type of movies. What the hell was I talking about again? Oh yeah, Valentine's Day in prison. Again, a complete opposite, polar opposite from anything that it would be out here in the free world. And I'm not saying that Valentine's Day is going to be anything all that special out here either, especially if you don't have anybody to spend today with. But it is a much more high likelihood that Valentine's Day out here in the free world is most certainly going to be, no matter who you spending it with, whether you spend it with your girl, your boyfriend, punk tattoo guy, or your right hand, whoever you're spending that day with, it's most certainly going to be a lot better than spending it locked up. And in this video, I'm going to tell you why Valentine's Day is one of the worst holidays you could ever spend inside the clink. Pretty good job, Joe. You're definitely getting a lot better than just saying while locked up. I've been playing Scrabble on my phone. I'm getting better with the words. Not only am I going to be telling you about why Valentine's Day is one of the worst holidays you could spend inside an institution, I'm also going to be telling you a crazy little prison prank story that actually happened on Valentine's Day. In fact, this was probably one of the most harsh, heinous and horrible things that you could ever do to anybody while locked up. And the guy that this actually happened to was nicknamed AKA the Serial Killer. And it is only by God's glory and grace that this guy did not act upon what his prison nickname was when this prison prank was pulled on him on Valentine's Day. So with all of that being mentioned, what do you say we just go ahead and dance in your locker? I just spent 30 at the store. Your mama still living cardboard. My daddy just sent me some. And I'm just trying to tell you, that song will never get old to me. Head first into this video. I've said this in many of videos, but spending any holidays locked up is going to be a pretty bad and miserable thing. Reason being because you do so much to try to keep your minds off of the free world, try to keep yourself in bid mode pretty much the entire time that you're locked up, which makes your time go by easier, better, more smoother, less tension-filled. However, on any given holiday, it's going to be pretty hard to not think about what's going on out there. On Christmas, man, I really wonder who's out there opening up presents with my girl right now. I wish I could be out there with them, man. Merry Christmas, baby. I hope you're thinking about me. Hey, what you talking about, Joe? Talking about who opening presents with your girl? Like, man, you know who out there opening up presents with your girl. You know he out there with her right now. It ain't the boogeyman. It ain't the monster inside of your closet. You know who out there opening up presents with your girl. Jody. Why you gonna bring his name up? I know he's out there! And with Thanksgiving, Christmas, your birthday, the 4th of July, New Year's Eve, with the fact that on those days specifically, you are definitely gonna be thinking about what's going on in a vast spectrum out there in the free world. What are my kids doing? What are my parents doing? What are my friends doing? Why I can't be out there with them? Don't act like you don't know why you can't be out there with them. If you wouldn't try to steal that TV from Walmart through the garden section, you would be out there with them. You a thief too. You ain't never gonna do right out there. You lucky you locked up. Probably the best place for you, as a matter of fact. But with the fact that all of those holidays are going to make you think about all sorts of things, there's one holiday in particular, I'm talking about Valentine's Day, so I'll just go ahead and say that. But there's that one holiday in particular that's going to make you think about one thing more than anything else. And that one thing that you're going to think about on that one particular holiday, which is Valentine's Day, is either your girlfriend or that girlfriend that you think you may still have, or potentially your ex-girlfriend. The girl who left you right as soon as you got locked up. That ride or die girl. That girl that you used to spend those evenings with out there in the free world, asking her if you ever got locked up, was she gonna stay with? Why did I believe you? I have no idea where that came from. But on Valentine's Day, you are definitely gonna think about that love, that girl, that ex-girlfriend, that one particular little thing that you had out there in the free world before you got locked up. Maybe she's still around. Maybe she's still telling you she's still around. Maybe you're believing she's still around. Maybe you've got some thoughts festering in your mind thinking, is she really still around? Does Jody have her? But no matter the relationship status that you have while incarcerated on Valentine's Day, this holiday in particular is gonna force you, and I mean it's gonna force you, it's gonna spread those Junies open. That's how it's going to force you to think. I wonder what's really going on out there today with her. Now, all jokes aside, I have to just throw this in here. We are talking about Valentine's Day. We are talking about prison. I would be completely beating around the bush if I didn't bring up this point right here. There's only one type of situation you could be in while incarcerated on Valentine's Day where that's going to be an okay day to be locked up. And that is that if while locked up you've done a little experimenting, maybe discovered a side of yourself that you didn't really know existed. Maybe you met a guy named Punk Tattoo Guy. I mean, there's only a very small amount of cases where being locked up on Valentine's Day might not be such a bad day to be locked up on. I'm really hoping you guys can read between the lines of what I'm trying to say right there. And if you're wondering to yourself if Joe ever spent a Valentine's Day in prison that was not so bad, that might have actually been good, the answer to that question is yes. But with the fact that being locked up on Valentine's Day is going to be such a horrible holiday to spend in a place such as prison, there's going to be a lot of tension filling the air. Everybody's going to be walking around with thoughts in their mind, thoughts that they really do not want to be thinking. And you kind of got to walk on eggshells around guys because you never know what lies inside the minds of people anywhere. I mean, this goes far beyond just being locked up. Hell, you could be at school, you could be at the office. You'll never know what anybody's dealing with, especially on Valentine's Day. So there might actually be some similarities between this holiday out here in the free world and also while locked up. And with all of that, there's most certainly going to be a lot of fights that take place in prison, February 14th. Hey, Joe, what you looking so bitter beer-faced in the face for, man? I mean, it ain't nothing but another day, man. Don't you be worrying about that girl out there in the freeway. You already know she out there. Bung, 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 bung. But moving on, I want to tell you a real quick little prison prank prison story. Try to say that 5 times fast. That actually took place on Valentine's Day this one particular year. I can't remember what year it was, while I was serving my debt to society. And with this prison prank story that I'm about to tell you, I actually have pictures of who was involved in this prison prank prison story. But this story involves a guy by the name of Johnny. In fact, Johnny is actually his first name. But that's not at all what I used to refer to this guy as. In fact, what I used to call him, his prison nickname to me, was AKA the Serial Killer. And the reason for this is because while locked up, I mean, that is exactly what this guy looked like. Not only did he look like a serial killer, he actually acted like one, especially when it came to his ex-girlfriend, a woman that he would speak about so much, a woman by the name of Cherokee. And this picture that you're seeing right here is, in fact, this ex-girlfriend of AKA serial killers, Little Miss Cherokee, right here. You know, it's funny when I'm telling these stories sometimes, they start to get like that little Dateline feel. Obviously, I've been watching way too much Dateline, or maybe there might be another After Prison Show meets Dateline parody special on the way. I'm just saying, maybe, maybe not. But so I've shown you a picture of what old Cherokee looks like. Let me go ahead and show you a picture of AKA serial killer, this guy Johnny. Now the first thing that I want to show you is this caricature that I drew of this guy. And believe me when I tell you, I mean, this is what this guy looked like while we were in prison together. You see that right there? I mean, this guy, he definitely looks like, he's kind of looking like a serial killer. Damnedest damn thing about it is when I go to find this guy on Facebook, because when I'm reminded of Valentine's Day being locked up in this crazy prison prank story, I find this guy on Facebook, and looking at his pictures right here, I mean, he looks like he might be, maybe, I mean, just possibly maybe, somewhat of a normal, okay type of a guy. And you're probably looking at these pictures right now of this guy thinking, Joe, this caricature doesn't look anything like this guy. Maybe that speaks to how much a person can change from the way they look while they're locked up versus out here in the free world, or maybe I'm just a fucking horrible artist. I probably should just stop drawing altogether. But regardless, I mean, this guy, he really doesn't look like he's too crazy. Now that I'm looking at these pictures that I found on Facebook, I mean, he doesn't look too crazy, does he? Now, the story also involves some other characters that I've mentioned here on After Prison Show as well. One such being Coffee Man. Here's a little caricature that I drew of him while locked up. And if I had a Facebook picture of him, which if I could even remember his real name, well, maybe you would look at that and see, damn! That's a spitting image of what Coffee Man looks like. Another being Johnny, aka the Panty Bandit. Not to be confused with Johnny, aka the serial killer. These are two different people that we're talking about right here. But you've got Coffee Man, Panty Bandit, and Ernie. And if you include aka serial killer into that mix, this was actually like a little prison clique right here. In fact, this was like one of the strangest groups of people that you would see associating with each other. And I think a good reason why they did so was because these were like the strangest of guys that you could meet in prison. Coffee Man, Panty Bandit, Ernie, and serial killer. But this prison prank story took place just a few days prior to Valentine's Day. In fact, that's where it began at. Coffee Man actually used to sleep in the bunk right beside mine. So I used to always kick it with Coffee Man and give him shots of coffee for strange things. I mean, he would just ask me for coffee from time to time, and sometimes I'd give it to him. But I couldn't help but to notice this one year, a few days leading up to Valentine's Day, when it was Coffee Man, Ernie, and aka Panty Bandit, all bunched up, huddled together, snickering like a bunch of little schoolgirls. Hello, Steven. You know coffee with me, Steven. I don't get no coffee with me, Steven. You buy your own bag of coffee, Steven. What y'all over here giggling like a bunch of little girls for? And when I asked, they told me what they were up to. These guys were huddled together, writing a letter to Johnny, aka the serial killer, from Little Miss Cherokee. And again, here's a picture of this girl who looks like she would be better suited for a cover of Easy Rider than for a Facebook profile picture. But I was a little confused when they told me they were writing a letter to serial killer from this girl Cherokee. I had no idea what they meant by this. You're sitting here writing a letter like you're Cherokee and you're addressing this to serial killer. Why are you doing this? This sounds like a horrible idea. And they would go on to tell me that they were doing this because Valentine's Day was right around the corner and old serial killer Mr. Johnny used to sit here and talk about this ex-girlfriend of his, Cherokee, so much. And I could actually attest and vouch for this myself because when I would have conversations with this guy, serial killer, I would talk to him like, hey, serial killer, what's going on with you today, man? You're looking a little crazy in the face like you always do, but what's new? Hey, Joe, have I told you about my ex-girlfriend, Cherokee? Matter of fact, you're on the phone all the time. Could I get a three-way? I gotta call this girl. I gotta call her. Jesus Christ, man, get a hold of yourself. But this was how he would act 24/7, no matter who he was talking about. You could not have a normal conversation with this guy, serial killer, without him mentioning this future candidate for the cover of an Easy Rider magazine right here. He would just not be able to hold any kind of a conversation without mentioning at least 50 times this ex-girlfriend of his, Little Miss Cherokee. Oh, and real quick, I do have to throw this in here. Cherokee is actually this chick's real name. If you don't believe me, I know somebody's going to take this image, Google search it. You'll see that, you'll see that that is her real name. But Coffee Man, Ernie, and Panty Bandit would go on to tell me that this was a prank that they were ready to pull and were just preparing to do so on aka serial killer for Valentine's Day. They wrote this elaborate, horrible, horrendous letter, versed from Little Miss Cherokee. And what this letter said that they were planning on giving to this guy on Valentine's Day, my God, I wouldn't do something like this to my worst enemy. Having somebody so in love with their ex, and the prank that you're ready to pull on this guy is to make this guy believe on Valentine's Day he's getting a piece of mail from this woman that he stalks and idolizes and probably is going to go out there and do some horrible things to this chick. R.I.P. Little Miss Candidate for the Easy Rider cover, Miss Cherokee. Serial killer gets absolutely zip-zero mail, and they were ready to make this guy believe on that special Cupid-like day that he was receiving a letter from Cherokee. Again, that Dateline thing, I gotta get that completely out of my system. Now, what this letter said was, again, horrendous. But I'm gonna tell you what I remember. I don't remember it verbatim, I don't remember it word for word, but I'm gonna give you the punchlines that I definitely do remember. I will never forget this. You can't. There's some things that you experience in life that are either so traumatizing or so damn funny. You're never going to forget those things. You can't. But the gist of what this letter said was that Cherokee was writing to serial killer to tell him that she's moved on. And she hasn't moved on with just anybody. She's moved on with a big black man. And also something to the likes of, there was an issue inside of the bedroom and the bed was broken. She was trying to figure out how she could get a new bed frame. And you know, to think about being on the receiving end of this letter I'm talking about. Dear serial killer, I'm sorry to have to tell you like this, but it's over. I've moved on. And not just with anybody either, but with a big, gigantic black man by the name of Daryl. Things haven't exactly been easy for me out here. In fact, we're struggling together, Daryl and I, my new soulmate. Something happened inside of the bedroom, serial killer, and I'm sorry to tell you, but that bed that you left out here, for me and you know, like you used to tell me, when you get released, that we would sleep together forever in. Well, that bed was broken. The frame completely shattered. I don't want to get into specifics about how that happened, but I'll just leave that up to your imagination. I'm sorry to inform you like this, but it's over. Hey, serial killer, I see you got a piece of mail. Hey, Cherokee, she coming back, ain't she? She coming back. What the I could not possibly imagine. Actually, yes, I could, because I've actually received a real letter just like that, verbatim. So I can't even say that at all. But I know exactly what it's like for what this guy serial killer went through on Valentine's Day this one specific year while locked up. When out of the blue, never before receiving any mail at all, unless they accidentally called his name by mistake. Serial killer, mail, mail. I got some Cherokee. My bad. I meant serial spiller, or I don't know, somebody, you ain't got no mail, go back to your bunk, go cry. But on that Valentine's Day, when serial killer's name was called, and he ran to the front to pick that piece of mail up like the proudest man in the world, the entire housing unit by this point, because gossip spreads through prison like AIDS, the entire housing unit was all the wiser to what was about to happen, and everyone was tuned in, watching, participating, engaging. Everybody was watching this guy read this letter and this guy's facial expressions. It was by far one of the most horrendous things I had ever seen in my life. Because when it was all said and done, this guy legitimately believed that Cherokee had wrote this letter telling him everything that they had written inside of it. The damnedest thing about this is it literally took a couple of days. I mean, these guys are so horrible. They waited a couple of days before they told him. Hey, I don't know if anybody's told you yet, but you know, Coffee Man, Panty Bandit, and Ernie, they wrote that letter, man. That was a fake letter. God! God, my life is over! What? It was fake! Well, then that still means there's a chance for me and Cherokee. Joe, can you make a phone call for it? Is so important. Joe, I need a three-way, please. Prison, a horrible place. No matter what day of the week it is, what day of the month it is, what holiday it is. But Valentine's Day, well, that's one of the top contenders for the worst day that you could spend in a place like that. Not only what you'll go through by yourself, dealing with the own demons and thoughts that fester and nag inside of your mind, but also what somebody else could bring to your table and your plate as well. Because what else do you got to do while locked up but to watch another man damn near break to pieces in front of you, just for some laughs? As horrible of a prison story as that was to share with you, and as horrible of a prison prank as that was to pull on anyone, I do want to end this video on somewhat of a more positive note. You know, serial killer was released from prison about a year after I got out. He was. Unfortunately, he didn't last out there a month, and he's locked back up right now. And that's not, well, damn. I was trying to end this on a positive note, but I don't know if there's going to be anything positive about this. I'm just going to give you guys one last little piece of information pertaining to serial killer and Mrs. Cherokee. Because one could only imagine, you know, with as in love with this chick as serial killer seemed to be, was there any kind of a reconnection between the two? And I'm here to assure you, there actually was. I'd like to read you the final Facebook post from serial killer. This was on December 25th of 2016. Again, serial killer was released in November of 2016. And in that span of time, that 1 month span of time, he was posting quite frequently on Facebook. However, after Christmas of 2016, because this last post is from Christmas Day of that year, there's been no other word of this guy. He's been completely ghost on Facebook, and I looked him up. He is locked up again. Super unfortunate, it really is. But I'd like to read you this final Facebook post that again he posted on Christmas. And it goes as follows. I won the battle, and now I'm going to win the war. Cherokee stole my gold necklace, but the law prevailed. Got them back and around my neck, the real gorgeous, grown-up, and mature, drama-free women will be wearing these and many more. AKA Cherokee is a drug addict and sells pills. Stay away from her. The feds and the law are coming for her. And her female lover. He used an expletive that I don't really want to include right here for a homosexual female. You probably get what I'm saying. It rhymes with bike. I will get revenge so deep, I will crush your cold boulder hearts into rubble and dust. You hurt the wrong one. Go back to Georgia where you are nobody. Here, your rep is trash and a drug addict and a bike. Gonna blast you till you're gone. Get gone. Serial killer. So it's quite obvious that some kind of a reconnection, obviously not a very good one, but some kind of a reconnection did happen between serial killer and Cherokee. Such a crazy story. And an even crazier prison prank to pull on a guy, especially on Valentine's Day. Hey, look, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did so, please leave a like and a comment letting me know exactly what you thought about it. As always, until next time, please enjoy life, the free world. Never take a moment for granted, nor ever get locked up to have to spend one of the toughest holidays ever, Valentine's Day, in prison. And make the most of every day. Peace!